Hey, what's going on everybody? This is Alvi from Techitron, and you're watching my hands-on review of the Walton Primo S5 smartphone. Before I get into the review itself, you know the drill. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you dislike it, do that and let me know in the comments below. And if you like the content that we produce, subscribe and visit our social media channels. That helps us out a lot. First, let's talk about the design and hardware aspect of the smartphone itself. Right off the bat, this looks quite attractive. The finish over here is mimicking metal, but it's actually a glass finish on the back, and it's also slightly curved, so it actually contours your hand and feels quite nice. The entire build is made up of plastic, but this is the good type of plastic that you really wouldn't mind having in a smartphone. It feels solid, and it looks like it's going to be able to take a couple drops as well. Even though this looks pretty nice, you can see that this finish catches a lot of fingerprints, and if you want to keep it looking nice and shiny, you're gonna have to give it a polish every now and then. Aside from that, the back is non-removable, so you're not gonna be able to access the battery or anything, but in order to get to the SIM and the microSD card, you have to use this hybrid SIM slot. So you can add one micro SIM and a nano SIM or a microSD card. There's an IR blaster up front, which allows us to have a lot of fun when people aren't looking around. I really like how the back material of the smartphone reflects light from various angles, and each and every single time it looks a bit different, so that's always something that I like to pay attention to. Furthermore, if you're wondering, this has support for USB on the go, so if you want to connect it in peripherals, you can do that. The capacitive keys along the bottom of the smartphone do not light up, and that's something that I've been seeing is common throughout Walton's entire smartphone lineup. The buttons are within easy reach of the hand, and even though they're made of plastic, they're still very nice and clicky. The speaker on the back of the smartphone is surprisingly loud, but whenever you try to max out the volume, you'll hear there's a lot of clipping and distortion, so I'd suggest you don't put the volume to the max whenever you're using the loudspeaker. The spec sheet of the smartphone is quite adequate in my opinion for most users. It's got a 64-bit quad-core 1.5 GHz MediaTek processor along with 3GB of RAM, 32GB of built-in storage, which again are expandable via microSD, as well as a 3150 mAh battery. The smartphone comes with more than enough RAM for the average user's multitasking needs, and you can even switch between these intense games over here. As usual, when I was conducting my gaming test with the smartphone, I used a suite of apps such as Modern Combat 5, Asphalt 8, as well as GTA San Andreas and Bloons Tower Defense 5. And in all these tests, I found that for most part, there was virtually no issues. When I did go into some of the more intense parts of the game, I noticed that there were a few frames that were skipped, so do expect stutters whenever you're trying to take things up to the next level. Call quality on the smartphone was, as expected, not an issue at all, and whenever I was talking on the phone, I didn't hear anybody on the other side complain about my audio quality either, so that's a thumbs up for you guys over there. With the large 3150 mAh battery, getting through a full day of use is quite an easy task with mixed to even moderate or intense usage. I found that if you're using the power saving mode and if you're trying to use the smartphone a little bit sparingly, you'll even get through 1.5 days of use. So battery life in this case is not an issue for anybody. This phone supports 4G by the way, but this is Bangladesh, so take that for what it is. I was surprised that for a 5.5-inch 720p display, this screen looked quite sharp. In fact, it's got 267 pixels per inch, but to my eye, I really didn't notice the lack of pixels, especially given the larger screen size. Given the larger screen size again, it's very good for media consumption, and this is also helped by the fact that the brightness levels are very good, and so are the color reproduction as well as the viewing angles. Given that this is an IPS display, you really won't have any issues viewing it outdoors or from a sharp or steep angle. The front of the screen uses 2.5D Gorilla Glass 4, so not only are you getting the aesthetic benefits of that curved 2.5D glass, but you're also getting the scratch resistance of Corning's Gorilla Glass 4. The main camera is a 13-megapixel BSI sensor with an f2.2 aperture, and the secondary or selfie camera is also an 8-megapixel sensor with an f2.2 aperture. Now, as expected, both these smartphone cameras perform really well in daylight situations. There's a lot of detail in the pictures, colors look pretty good, and overall, I'm quite satisfied with both the front-facing and the rear-facing cameras on the smartphone. Although I will have to mention that on certain instances I've noticed that the colors are a bit oversaturated, but that really is not an issue in this situation. Low light performance is helped by the f2.2 aperture on both of these lenses, but the fact is you really won't be getting any exceptional low light performance, so while these images do look pretty good, they're nothing that's gonna blow you away. The software on this camera is identical to a lot of the Walton smartphones we've seen in the past, so that means you're also getting that fully featured manual mode that we find and enjoy in all of these Walton smartphones, but you're also getting features such as the HDR mode, you're getting the GIF mode, as well as time-lapse and so many other filters and whatnot. So overall, this is a very holistic camera experience that I'm sure will be great for most users out there. A point to note, when you're taking pictures using the HDR mode, the images do come out at a better quality and with more color information and the reduced shadows and whatnot, but also the processing time is a bit longer, so take that into consideration when you're choosing what mode you're using to take photos. The Walton Primo S5 runs on Amigo UI, and this is on top of Android 6.0 Marshmallow. If you haven't seen this UI before, I suggest you take a look at any of our Walton videos from the past, let's say 7 or 8 months, and you'll find Amigo UI. In fact, I covered this UI in great detail in my recent review of the Walton Primo X4 Pro smartphone. So click over here where the card should be, and maybe you'll be able to get more in-depth detail about the software over there. Now, as this software package is identical to the Walton Primo X4 Pro, you're getting a lot of the features that people enjoy as a part of this entire experience. So I'm talking about mobile anti-theft, split screen mode, child mode, privacy mode, and so on and so forth. You can again take a look at all of those in my Walton Primo X4 review, where I go into much more detail. Two of my favorite Walton features also make it onto the smartphone, and they are the split screen mode and the screen recorder. The screen recorder is actually what I'm going to be using for quite a lot of this video to show you the actual screen itself. The Walton Primo S5 is a smartphone that costs 14,990 taka and comes in either blue or golden colors. For this price, I think this is another very good addition to Walton's 2017 smartphone lineup, and shows that this company is looking to go into this new year with a strong first step. The smartphone is great for people who are looking at that 15,000 taka budget and want something which has a good camera, an attractive design. The great battery life also helps the people who want to choose this smartphone, as I think that battery life is again one of those things more companies should be focusing on down the road. If you like this video, you know what to do. Give us a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. I think it is over there. It's really not that far away. Just scroll over there and click the subscribe button, please. If you didn't like this video, give us a dislike and let us know in the comments what we can do to turn that dislike into a subscribe for you. I left the links to our social media accounts in the links in the description below, so if you're interested, definitely go check us out and maybe drop us a like or a share, or even find me on Snapchat. This has been Alvi for Techitron, and thank you for watching.